Good afternoon, and welcome to the session on Auschwitz Birkenau, History, Authenticity, Truth in the Age of AI. So how do we preserve memory and distinguish truth from fiction in the age of AI? We're going to look at that question through the lens of Auschwitz Birkenau, one of the most notorious concentration camps in World War II. 80 years after Auschwitz's liberation, physical evidence and survivor memory are fading. The threats include time, war, climate, and of course, digital distortion. So, how do we preserve authenticity when in an age and in a world where truth itself is contested? To answer that question, we are going to speak with Wojtek Soczewica, who is the CEO of the Auschwitz Birkenau Foundation, who is going to join us virtually from Auschwitz, and Maciej Zemojcin, technical producer of Picture from Auschwitz, AI and virtual production specialist. So let's begin by hearing from Wojtek joining us live from the memorial. Wojtek, over to you.
Jennifer, thank you, and hello to everyone. First of all, let me thank you for providing this opportunity to speak and connect with you remotely. I would have enjoyed and loved to be there in person, but unfortunately there is a collision of dates, and today we had a meeting of the Foundation International Committee, which is the body representing over 40 state donors to the Auschwitz Birkenau Foundation endowment. That's why I had to be here, and I'm connecting with you live from the site. In the background, you can see the infamous gate, Auschwitz Gate, Arbeit macht frei. And on the other side, you can see the original building of the former camp kitchen. So this is just for context, and I can see in the presentation that the digitized version prepared by Maciej's team is already visible. When it comes to authenticity and the protection of authenticity, this has always been a central point for our mission, for the Auschwitz Birkenau Memorial and the Foundation. We have been established 12 years ago with one purpose: to take care of the authenticity of the remains of Auschwitz Birkenau. And that's a mission that has been given upon us by the survivors of Auschwitz Birkenau, which is the most sacred calling and most sacred mission. The preservation means that there is around 200 hectares of land where you have original buildings, remains like the kitchen in my background, but also ruins of gas chamber and crematoria, which require preservation in their current state. So with a wonderful people of over 40 conservators here on site who are experts in the preservation of bricks, wood, of paper, leather, any given material, we are trying to stop time from deteriorating those evidences, because these elements, the infrastructure, but also personal items, of course, like glasses, like shoes, like suitcases, which have been brought on the last journey by the victims of the Shoah, mainly Jewish victims, but also Polish political prisoners, Soviet prisoners of war, and other ethnic groups and religious groups. These elements speak and tell stories. And it is absolutely necessary to not only remember those stories, but to tell them again and again in an engaging way. And I think that this is already the first step into our discussion. Engaging nowadays means by using new technology, which allows not only to reach the 2 million annual visitors who come to see with their own eyes Auschwitz-Birkenau. This number is growing, by the way, which tells us an interesting thing, that 80 years after the liberation of Auschwitz-Birkenau, when we are commemorating this round anniversary this year, interest is not fading, quite contrary. We have more and more people coming to see and experience. However, 2 million is a big number, but there is many more people around the world who find experiencing and seeing this place interesting, but cannot come because it's too far away. Organizing a visit is either too difficult, too expensive, and they don't have the time. So we have, since COVID, we have been looking into applying new technologies which can bring the authenticity of Auschwitz Birkenau. So everything that you can see when you're here to audiences around the world who cannot make a personal visit, and protecting this evidence. And if possible, when preserved and when identified with one single name, with the name of a victim, please be aware that even 80 years after, it happens every now and then that when working on an individual item, on a shoe, for example, the conservators are able to identify the owner of that shoe. Somewhere hidden, there might be a piece of paper inscribed with the name of a victim. And by preserving, we're not only making sure that the item remains as a symbol, but it also can help us reconnect with the past. And thus we're making sure that the plan of Adolf Hitler to extinguish all traces of Jewish life from the face of Europe is not going to be implemented, which might sound controversial 8 years after, but we are aware that this is part of our responsibility nowadays. We have to make everything in our might that will bring back those stories, that will bring back those people, and where we cannot connect individual items or buildings with individual human beings, then at least we have to protect the authenticity of those items because, as I said, millions of people are coming, they want to see and they want to experience. So authenticity, originality, and dealing with this fragile nature of items, of buildings, is of utmost importance. And I'm very happy that for the last couple of months we've been working with Maciej, with his team, on a wonderful tool which will bring closer this story through mass culture.
Great. So over to you, Maciej. Let's talk about how tech is helping to preserve memory.
I just say like what the project actually is, yes, to just explain
of course.
What it is. So to make things simple, the simplified version is it's kind of a digital twin, but it's connecting, let's say, two standards. One is the standard for, let's say, surveyor standard, which is like highly accurate. And the second part is the film level, film quality visual standard. So these two standards are on a very high level. And at the same time, we created an authentic data set, which is now owned 100% by the foundation, and which we are not planning to release anywhere. So we're just planning to release the process data. And we believe that we will be just processing this data over and over again from the source data, and that the source data is the authentic root certified by the memorial and by the foundation. And with the development of the technology, will only help us to process it better once again in the next few years, 10 years, maybe next 80 years.
So you're protecting the source data as the truth, and you're allowing others to use that data, but you're not releasing it.
So as Wojtek said, there are 2 million visitors yearly in the memorial. So since 4 decades, it was not allowed to film feature films on the grounds of the Auschwitz Memorial. So, and now after 4 decades, we are re-establishing the dialogue between the feature filmmakers, and feature filmmaking is the most powerful storytelling tool on this planet. So, like if I just ask you here what was like 8 years ago in the news, you will just struggle. And if I ask you about Schindler's List, you already have, 50 pictures in front of your eyes. And Schindler's List was so many decades ago. So this is like long term, is like very powerful tool. And we are just establishing dialogue between historians in the memorial and the filmmakers, because they need to talk, and they haven't been talking. This is the
So you mentioned Schindler's List, but in fact, that movie was not filmed in Auschwitz. It couldn't be, right?
Was filmed. This Wojtek can tell us more, or people from the memorial can tell us more, because I don't know. So I just know from, for example, from one of our ambassadors, from Richard Horowitz, that they were not allowed to shoot the film on the grounds of the memorial, and it caused a lot of problems. And in fact, everyone who is applying to film their feature film is not allowed, which is, the films are still shot somewhere else on a film set, or in some other way, but the dialogue is broken in this case. So it's a very important data set, and the data set is kept within the foundation. But what is also important, that based on the access of the data set, we are creating the opportunity for dialogue.
And for dialogue, but so talk a little bit about how the controlled licensing works.
So there is a website, film.auschwitz.org. And if you go on the website, you can just put the details of your project, which reaches the memorial, and the memorial reads the script. It gets into the historians and decides about the access to the data. And in a way, it's not a 1-0 process. So the beauty of this process is that memorial is allowed to work on the script with the filmmakers, and that's amazing process. That's really interesting how it where it starts and where it ends. We are now in touch with 9 projects. Because we announced the project during Cannes Film Festival this year in May, and it's really interesting the process where how the films are starting with the application, how they are respecting the authenticity and how they are respecting the author, how both sides are respecting each other, yes, and how they are shaping the narrative and respecting the true story.
So the end means that only historically and ethically verified productions get approved, and this is one way of combating deepfakes.
I think it's a very good question to Wojtek.
Okay, so let's turn back to you, Wojtek, and talk about.
Well.
About how this licensing process ensures that only historically and ethically verified productions are approved.
Thank you. This is, as Maciej said, this is a passionate and very creative process indeed, because on the one hand, we have historians who are working for the Auschwitz Memorial, the best people who really know in greatest detail the story of this site and its victims and survivors. While on the other hand, you have the creative industry, which is very often thinking in ways which allow to tell stories in an interesting, passionate, and engaging way, which also for us is very important. However, historians need to take care of the vetting of the process, right? So you. And this is actually something which Maciej mentioned, Richard Horowitz, an Auschwitz survivor whom everyone who has seen the Schindler's List can see as one of the children being saved from this place. He said, as a photographer who has a wonderful career of photography in the US and worldwide, he says, for him also professionally, this is a very interesting aspect to see how the creative industry sits down with historians and they try to connect their both prisms through which they look at the history. And at the end of the process, what we expect is a story that is ethically, but also historically correct, accurate. So you cannot come up with stories which sound nice or sound cruel or sound brutal. No, they either have to be a historical fact or it has to be extremely likely that they might have happened. There's lots of testimonies from Auschwitz Birkenau. This has been the site of the killing and imprisonment of the Jews of Europe. So there is lots of testimonies. We have lots of stories in many languages. One of the beautiful aspects of this project is also that making the history of Auschwitz Birkenau available through film means that we make it available in a universal language through art, which means that you don't need to translate, you don't need to explain too much. It's the historical context in film when it's presented in a universal way is pretty accessible. So with this project, we don't really need to worry about language, but we need to worry about historical facts and accuracy, as you said. So in the end, when a story is either confirmed by the historians or it's confirmed that it's very likely that it has happened, could have happened, because we don't know everything, but conversations took place during the camp operation, meetings took place between people, and certain processes happened, which we know of. They are either very likely or they are confirmed, but we don't know specific situations between individual prisoners, the perpetrators, and so on. But historians are the ones who approve. So it's both sides learning from each other, and it is a fascinating process to see happening, because I also have to underline that there's trust on both sides. If you have film productions who are approaching the Auschwitz Memorial and saying, we want to portray the actual history as it happened here, and with your knowledge, we know that at the end there is a film production for which everyone stands, and you have the actual symbolical stamp of the Auschwitz Memorial. This is of biggest importance for us. And I also have the feeling, Maciej will probably confirm, that this is of value for the industry, the creative industry, because to put out something, a product, a movie, a feature film that has the stamp of an institution that stands for memory, for truth. Behind it, there is lots of suffering, there is pain, there are personal stories which are engaging. This is our priority, and that's why we have jumped into this project and have already created a digital copy of Auschwitz I main camp, which part of which you can see behind us. And this is also the reason why we're now raising funds for the recreation of Birkenau, so the site where the actual killing of the Jewish people of Europe happened. And that's why the mission also of the foundation is to raise funds. We are looking to secure 1.5 million euro for the production of the replica of Birkenau, and then making it fully available to the film industry, so that large productions, smaller productions can use it whenever. If someone is interested, please reach out. Maciej already said that the webpage should be visible in the presentation. We are there to respond to every question, and together with the historians and press team of the memorial, which is extremely helpful, we are here to clarify everything. But as I said, protecting actual stories in an age of disinformation is central, and making this available on a mass scale, not only to those who come here, even though these are many people, but also to appear on big screens worldwide is our priority. And also, I'm sure some of the people in the audience have seen the Zone of Interest, which I have seen being produced here on site. It was not within the boundaries of the former camp. It was just outside, next to the actual house of the camp commander, Höss. The crew had recreated the garden, the actual garden, which stands today, as it was historically, and the home of Rudolf Höss and his family. They had recreated one-to-one. And because they were very, very precise in their work, and because there were consultants from the memorial, historians on set, I think this is part of the success of the movie, because viewers are getting insight into the reality of the camp, not something recreated, not something produced to respond to specific needs to the creative industry, but really something that tries to tell the story as it was. Because I think that the strength of Auschwitz Birkenau and other places like this is to portray reality as it was. It was horrible. It was painful. We don't need to create something. What we can tell is history as it happened. And this is the strength of Auschwitz Birkenau, through items, through objects, through the buildings, but also through stories that are being recreated thanks to new technologies and this digital replica in particular.
So can we just talk for a minute about, the dangers of not preserving? We are at a time where we risk going to war in Europe, and so there are actual potential physical threats to the site, and of course, we can't avoid discussing the disinformation and hate that gets spread online by Holocaust deniers. So maybe this might be a good time to talk a little bit about how you combine the past and the future with your technology approach.
Let me just also show you, because it's a visual material. We're not showing it. We should just show it, I think. Let me show you, for example, this. This is part of the 3D scan. And here you can see how we are applying different weather conditions, and which is based on the scan. That's the I call it scaffolding of the scan, which is done with Leica scanners, typical surveyors tool, accurate to like long range 4 millimeters, close range 1 millimeter. So it's like very close to how it is. Yes. And by the way, it was like really it's a task if you have to create a time capsule for perpetuity, what technology you should choose. That's an interesting question. How to you make a choice of a technology which will be in a way, because this what we are talking about in the era of AI will be kind of technology proof data set. And that's an interesting slide. We're going from an original photo done in the Nazi period of the camp to the scan. So this is the way this will come back. Yeah, that's the original photo, and we're just going to the so through this data set we created a pattern which can actually authentify the pictures from the past and the pictures from the future. So how it works, that the data set is a number of features of these buildings, of this place, spatial. It's a spatial data. So, and if we just reverse engineering the kind of camera, the kind of lens, and the place where the pictures was taken from, and if it's matching the scan, it means it's true. If the future picture, and you can, with this way we can identify pictures from the past that they are not fake, and this way in the future we can also, like future pictures, we can also identify through this scan, and like with 100% accuracy that they are, that this is like the level of security is like really very high, as there are like millions and millions of features of this of this data set. So you cannot really fake it. Yes. And
so let's just build on that to talk about not just with Auschwitz, how AI and 3D data can help protect truth globally and, for example, with Ukraine?
Yeah, that's interesting subject. In a way, I'll just show this slide. This is that's yeah, that we have. Okay, this is one of the scans that we've done in Ukraine, and this was done with a system which is including blockchain, and in a way we've done what we've done in Auschwitz. It's a forensics level securing a proof of crime. Yes, so that's and this led us to a project which is called Murals. And in this project, because we were just the whole story started in right after the Kiev invasion started, and there was one of my friends who is from one of the infamous places, Irpin. He managed to escape from there, and he was in the first group of civilians allowed to come back. And what he has started to do when he came back, he could scan. So he started to scan whatever he has seen, the destroyed Russian tanks, etc. And he sent it to me and asked me like, what do we do? And I didn't really know what to do, because like, you know, we see like tanks in like action movies, we see tanks in computer games, etc. So, and that's why I'm saying this story, because that's the question of authenticities. What's the difference between the tank in the computer game and the tank that Artem has scanned right after coming back to Irpin? And the answer for this question, you know, beginning of the answer for this question was the Murals project, where we scanned the, actually what you see now is the trailer, like short trailer of this project. We scanned the murals of the Banksys, which I don't know if you know, but Banksy has painted like 7 murals around Kiev. And we have now the only 3D digital copies of these murals, which are, as far as we know, existing, because everyone has just photos. They are now deceased or displaced or destroyed. There are different situations, because these are murals which are painted on ruins. And this is 8.5 minutes project, which I haven't seen in my life so many people going out of the screening after 8.5 minutes, which is like very short thing, crying actually. And I think that's showing the power of the authentic data, and this showing that in a way this is undestroyable data, and also powerful data, because they were coming out crying and saying us, I didn't know that this is happening there, that this is so bad. Yes, and actually the project went around the globe, so we were everywhere. You know, from Europe to Korea, we were in America and even in New Zealand, yes. And everywhere the project got some recognition. And if it would be like not authentic data, in a way the project is like, yeah, it's like one of the projects about Ukraine, yes. And because it's based on the authentic data, is like far more powerful. It's like it's something what is actually there. Yes, of course, it's based on the trust that the data is, because this is the data from the scans is not secured.
Yeah,
it's not based on any that it's based on the trust that this is the true scans. In terms of picture from Auschwitz, it is based on the institution of Auschwitz Birkenau Foundation, Auschwitz Birkenau Memorial, who are certifying that this is the true data gathered in Auschwitz Birkenau Memorial. So in both cases, this is the proof of crime and the evidence of crime.
So, what we're talking about is using technology tools to design fake, resilient digital evidence, and that really, if used correctly, would prevent the denial of war crimes. People will no longer be able to say, "Oh, I didn't know."
I think that's the measurement data is whatever apart from the survivors who there are less and less survivors now with us. This is what we can do. We can just create a forensics level evidence of crime. And this is what we're doing. And in this kind of technology hype era, where everyone is like jumping, 3 times a week from one technology to another, we wanted to create something what is actually lasting and with technology proof. Mm-hmm. So in a way, the better technology we have, the stronger this data set is. That's the beauty of this authentic data sets, that better technology just makes them stronger.
We will have time for a couple of questions. If anybody wants to scan the QR code and send them in, we can do that. But let's continue while we're waiting for any questions to come in about the vision, about creating a framework for ethical AI and cultural IP sovereignty in Europe, how this technology might also be used for that.
I think, this project is now, we conduct this project for 3 years now, and we've been struggling on many levels with many things, from like dialogue to technology to, to even this, that there are 2 million or over 2 million people in this kind of places, like and how do you scan it if there is always someone standing in front of your camera or of your scanning device? So these are, in a way, we created a pattern which can be replicated for other places, for securing other places. And we are ready to share that knowledge, and that's I think we're as the lead of the technological team, I'm really grateful to the memorial and to the foundation for the trust in us that we were able to start it and to create this replica, because in the age of uncertainty and in the age of such an easy way of creating any fakes, it's trust is so valuable.
Absolutely. And one of the things that we have not, I don't think we touched on, but I think is a really wonderful thing, is that the licensing fees for this initial first project with the movie industry are going back to the foundation and being used for things like education against hate and helping to preserve the memory.
100% of the copyrights of this data set is transferred to the foundation, and all the licensing fees are going 100% to the foundation.
I guess the final, we haven't gotten any questions from the audience, so
maybe we just need to close this.
Yes, we have.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was the biggest challenge in creating this project?
Yeah, there were many. There were many. So if you I don't know, like if the person who asked this question have been to Auschwitz Memorial, but if you imagine, we were just doing from the, let's say, like, it's not even technological, it's like simple situation where usually if you're scanning, you're just moving on. Like every 1 minute you're moving to a different position with whatever devices you're using. Here you're moving like 10 or 20 times slower because there are people, and you cannot stop the flow of the tourists. So this is one of the challenges.
You had to work on like New Year's Day when it was closed.
Yeah.
And
This
or
is
Christmas.
in fact, I just, because there are 2 days when the memorial is closed, Christmas and New Year's. So I chose a New Year's, and I spent my New Year's in the memorial, which is again like very very strange. It was like very. It was opportunity because we had good weather on New Year's to scan a lot during this. And this is one of the challenges. And now there are challenges on the organizational level. There are challenges on the funding level, which we hope now to secure for the second part. There are challenges on the personal level, because if you're spending there so much time and you were not used to it, like the memorial team, you are also starting to think about things that you didn't think before.
Yeah, of course. So one of the questions from the audience is, are you working with international courts investigating war crimes? Could this technology support ongoing investigations in Ukraine and potentially beyond? Do you see this digital evidence being called into court?
We're happy to start this cooperation.
Okay. So, and then
we're a small team, but we're happy to start this cooperation.
And then finally, we have a question about, given today's undermining of international organizations such as the United Nations, how do you see the ecosystem of trust around this developing in the next years?
So we're starting from ourselves. So I think throughout this last few years, we created the trust between the technical team and the memorial and the foundation. And we really hope this will develop. So we're just in the whole hype. I think we created something which is like valuable based on human values. And we hope to start building from that.
So I think as a final reflection, your project, Picture from Auschwitz, unites the physical past and the digital future, giving data a conscience. And let's hope that it also helps to give the world a conscience. And with that, I'd like to ask the audience to give a nice round of applause to Maciej.
And to Wojtek.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you.